Okay, we're at the southeast corner of the property, so buckle up. This main power drop, it's less than 15 feet. We'll have to look at that, but what I'm really interested in is that weatherhead for the electric power supply conduit. It's supposed to be above the roof. It's supposed to be above the roof 3 feet. It's not supposed to enter the house like that. Coming down, rain gutters discharge above grade. We got a little bit of wood rot over here. Wood rot in here. Wood to ground contact. High soil. All these things. This goes all the way around the house. You can see there's some wood rot. You get some pictures from the inside of the crawl space. You can see that's happening as well. This is the water supply. I have not found the meter yet. Is the water supply to the house? This is leaking. We got just a little, and the valve stem's leaking as well. We got a little over 80 psi. I don't know if you can focus on that. There we go. And just as importantly, and this is dripping when I hook this up. Just as importantly, this water supply line is not insulated, and it's not supported. And we do not have a vacuum breaker. I think I might have said that already. But see all that rusty galvanized? We've got some galvanized plumbing here. I don't know how much, but we got some right there. So we got some galvanized plumbing on this house. And it's really not a code against that. In some places it's kind of acceptable, I guess. I think in the Northeast, I'm not sure. But I know here that our water is not suited for that. It's going to have corrosion and leaks. That's not an appropriate application. We're missing some guardrails here. The guardrails are not 36 inches high. The height of these porches, I'm not even sure that they're recommended. Your baluster rails are farther apart than 4 inches. Your newel post will not withstand 200 pounds of lateral pressure. More wood to ground with all this lattice is coming in here, and these posts. This is all wood to ground contacted in here. I don't know if you're adjusting them on camera. Anyway, all those posts with wood to ground contact. This wood to ground contact, all this sill board coming around supporting the posts. This is the northeast corner of the very front porch. But this band board separating here. Coming along here is bottom rails separating. The newels are loose. Got wood rod in there. Over here, the wider porches, we got a roofer. Don't worry, I thought I'd get him. But anyway, roofer's looking at this house today. We've got vinyl siding for all the soffits. Posts. And it's an old house. It's an old house. The posts are not supposed to be placed farther apart than 8 feet for proper support by today's building standards. This is beyond these paving stones coming through here. Well, they're not dimensionally uniform. They might be a trip hazard. These steps are not dimensionally uniform, and they may be a trip hazard. Coming along, some of these planks are starting to warp a little bit. They got shims underneath here because the posts are too far apart. The shims, this is a good example of it's evidence of an illustration of why. Moving on along. Band boards are separating again. Coming through here, trim separating, band boards coming loose. It's time. And then we got cracking and peeling paint. A lot of cracking and peeling paint. Got some inside as well. Inside the indoor air handler closet, so that would be distributed through the house. Bottom rails separating, both of them. It's 200 pounds. Wood rod at the base of this.
steps are not dimensionally uniform. Coming along, more wood rot. The corner post. This is the northwest corner of the side porch. One of the side porches. See the rain gutter right there? The rain gutter. Okay, that just discharges water right onto where you see all these lechons or whatever you call that. All that organic growth. We got firewood, rotten firewood, all next to the patio right there. That's messed up. That's messed up. Coming along, these steps are definitely not dimensionally uniform. Underneath here, underneath these porches, they're using wood to ground contact. Cinder blocks. A cinder block placed on its end like that, that's the weakest side of the cinder block. That's the weakest side. Those holes should be going up 90 degrees and use the other side. They should be using that side right there. Should be the vertical support, not the horizontal support. I mean, excuse me. Horizontal support, not the vertical support. Apologize. High soil over here. See these connectors? They're supposed to be nailed in. They're not supposed to be screwed in. Not supposed to be screwed in. Screws are fast and tight. I get that, but they don't have the same shear strength as nails. And we're going to talk about that at the electric service. We're going to talk about that at the electric service panel as well. Okay, fast and tight. But if this structure was to experience something like a tornado, these would be much less likely to hold than if they'd been nailed. And every hole should be filled with a nail. Coming along, we got rain gutters leaking here. Northeast corner of the west patio cover. Metal patio cover. We've got some hail damage up here. So there are little dimples in there. So we've experienced some hail damage in this area. We've got a roofer up there right now. Exterior electric fixtures should be sealed. These are soffit vents. Look like they've been added. Can't see a lot in the attic though. In regards to soffit ventilation, I'm not seeing any soffit baffles. Again, 8 feet. Again, 8 feet. All the grading and drainage around this house is pretty much level. Pretty much level. This is the condensing unit. It's on the west exterior wall, the south end of that. Yeah, this unit is a 5-ton unit. I believe the indoor air handler is a 4-ton unit. They might not be properly matched. It's R22. It's 13 SEER. And it's the same age as the condensing unit inside. Evaporator coil unit inside. It's 13 years old. These last about 14. They could last 20. They're engineered on paper to last 20. It could last 30. But Las Vegas is going to give you 14 years. That's about how long they last around here in this part of the country. And this is an R22 system. R22. They don't manufacture it anymore, and they can't import it anymore. There's still some around. You can buy it, but it's expensive. It's expensive. And then they do sell alternative refrigerants. Those are also available too. I should let you know about that. They run about 10 to 35% less efficient than R22, and they are expensive themselves. And if you get somebody to install an alternative refrigerant into this system, good luck on finding somebody else willing to follow that technician and work on your system any longer. So you might as well just marry that guy. This foam, it was okay 12, 13 years ago, but see the way it's cracking? It should be a rigid foam. See the way it's all sucking and holding water? It should be a rigid foam by today's standards.
And then your Schrader valve, your refrigerant service port caps, they're not anti-theft, and they weren't required when it was built. They weren't. But by today's standards, they'd be anti-theft Schrader valve caps. This is your electric disconnect on the wall. It's nice. It's over to the side. I don't get to complain about that. This is what it looks like under here. Alright. I'm going to get a still image of it. And what I was able to peek, it looks like it's okay. It's just not sealed on these, the top and the sides. Top and the sides. And in this unit, it should not be closer than 12 inches to the house so that air can circulate and they can operate properly. So that's what's going on there. Moving along. Standing water. No vacuum breaker. At least this one's insulated. It's not supported. I don't know if that's galvanized pipe or not because it's supported like that. Wood to ground, wood to ground, wood to ground, all the way around the house. All the way around the house. Wood to ground. Wood to ground, high soil, wood to ground, high soil. And the electric service panel, it's not labeled. Sawdust in it. The wires are touching the panel. You do have protective boots. Neutral's labeled. Bonding location's not labeled. Okay. See this right here? This is called a connector. Not supposed to be bundling. Not supposed to be bundling, but that's connected. We're missing our connector over here. And some of this insulation's unwinding here. So that's kind of a problem.